The South Australian Premier says the latest draft of the Basin Plan is even worse than previous proposals. Jay Weatherill is planning a public campaign to take up his fight with the Commonwealth and upstream states.
On the shores of the lower lakes, some rare common ground. Local irrigators invited their Victorian counterparts to survey their end of the river, and the upstream visitors found some surprises.
There's certainly an irrigation problem down here, and in terms of water quality, there's no doubt about that.
There were no surprises from the South Australian Premier.
We are left with no choice. We must act.
Jay Weatherill says the latest Basin Plan draft is worse than the last because it removes a target for drinking water quality. He's put his cabinet on a war footing, instructing officials to prepare a high-profile public campaign to push his case at home and interstate.
The season for poor compromises is over, and the time for standing up and fighting has begun.
The fighting words from a Labor Premier haven't impressed his Canberra colleague.
That to and fro has been going on for roughly a century, and I think everyone's sick of it.
On that front, Tony Burke has some unlikely allies.
The Murray-Darling Basin Authority proposal, we think, represents at least a good starting point.
Most parties don't like to negotiate when they've got a gun to their head, and it seems as if Jay Weatherill has cocked the gun and pointed it at the authority's head.
The Premier won't pull the trigger on a threatened High Court challenge just yet, but he's instructed the government's lawyers to prepare a case in case the current plan becomes law.
The states were created equal. We're not being treated as equals.
We're such a small state, we could be completely marginalised, even though we're the most vulnerable state when it comes to the river system.
Not all South Australians are convinced.
If they're going to put it through the courts, it's going to take another 5-10 years anyway, so it's just dragging it all out again.
And along the river, patience is wearing thin. Nick Harmson, ABC News, Adelaide.